GI. Any kind of booze you might want?
No, the Bureau forbids us from drinking.
Duh.
So follow me, you could out the door. I'm doing 500, I'm out of control. But there's nowhere to go, and there's no way to slow. If I knew what I knew in the past, I would have been like that on your.
In this presentation, we are going to talk about corruption and how this affects to education. First of all, we can define corruption, due to it doesn't exist a definition that involves all the aspects of it. But we can explain that corruption is a conception of public office with rules and norms for the conduct of that office, which entails the view that the office is defined in terms of the public interest it serves, and this may run against the personal interests of the office holder. It's also a view that corruption involves the distortion of the exercise of public office so that meets private rather than public interests. And finally is the idea that three actors are normally involved or affected by corruption activity.
Do you think at the schools the teaching staff teach the children to be corrupt?
You mean in primary school?
Yes.
I think, no, I don't think so. I think in general teachers try to teach the students good values. And I think in general teachers, they want their students to get good scores by their own effort. And I think in general, at school, children, they have the opportunity to learn to share, learn to respect others. So I think in general, the values that are expressed at school, I don't think they are compatible with corruption.
Do you think corruption has increased recently?
Of course. Maybe corruption has always existed. However, nowadays all this corruption has been coming to light. Maybe for televisions and new technologies. And it is regrettable that in the 21st century, more cases of corruptions have increased. So perhaps due to the economic crisis, it has gone up in the recent years. On the one hand, corruption is believed to be more prominent in positions of power. When people have a lot of money, they want to get more money. So, but also in lower scales. For example, families who have no jobs, they are unemployed and they need money, and they sometimes commit crimes, to feed their children. So corruption has increased a lot.
If given the chance to get an extra profit in your work job for yourself or for a family member or a friend, wouldn't you do it if it was not entirely legal?
I have a double standard. Thanks heavens, I have never been in such a situation. That's very difficult. However, I think if were I given the choice of getting extra better profits, I wouldn't do it, I think, because I am very scared of being sent to prison or be tried in court, my God. But I'm not so brave. But it's true that we are doing this. For example, many young students or girls like you work babysitting, and this is not legal, and they are getting profits. Or for example, some teachers are teaching students at home in private lessons. This is also, they are getting extra benefits. Or even women that clean the houses, they also get benefits or profits. But in a high scale, I think I never. If I think I'm going to prison, never.
Do you think if corrupt know that they are stealing public money, they continue stealing?
If they know that they are stealing public money, are you meaning?
Yes.
I think they know. They know very well they are stealing money from all of us.
Which effect has corruption in social inequality, political legitimacy, socioeconomic?
I think it will be a important problem for a society because we have not to assume that the corruption is an usual practice. It's a dangerous problem for a society.
What kind of measures do you think should be implemented at school?
Yeah, I think this is the core solution. The most important solution to corruption probably is to implement at the school some topics and related to the ethical behavior. And it's important, and all the stage of the education, and the primary school and the secondary school at the university as well.
Finally, what other measures do you think could be appropriate to finish with corruption?
Well, there are a lot of measures. Maybe they are difficult, but I think there are measures. For example, corrupt people must be punished strictly. All black money must be snatched from them. Like all I said before, when they got all the money and they are sent to prison, they don't have to stay in prison and then leave prison and receive all their money. So the money should be snatched down.
In general, corruption negatively affects democracy and law state functionary due to it damages political equality and common benefit. From a structural perspective, corruption generates harmful social capital that have as an objective the abuse of public funds and the creation of playing rules that ensure the functionary of the criminal activity without complaints nor leaks. Nowadays, there are perspectives that can be identified relative to the level at which return or profit is conceived. In the perspective, the focus is on the use of social capital by individuals, how individuals access and use resources embedded in social networks to gain returns in instrumental action or preserve gains in expressive action. The local points for analysis in the perspective are how individuals invest in social relations and how individuals capture the embedded resources in the relation to generate a return. Representative works can be found in Lin, Coleman, and Bourdieu, to name a few.
Corruption avoids development because it avoids governing successfully. Following human rights methodology, the quality of the Spanish democracy is decreasing and the main reason is corruption. The quality of the government is one of the key variables to explain the low corruption. Impartiality in the implementation of the politics and programs, and the key element for that is having a Bavarian bureaucracy. Corruption is the consequence of the monopoly existence. In corruption measurement, there are three forms. First, in base to complaint of corruption and the open investigation from the public minister or the instruction judge. It's also through perception of corruption surveys and finally through the surveys where it serves to citizens for the direct experience on the bed of bribes or the extortion that suffered from the state functionary.
One interpretation for explaining why Protestant countries are more corrupt than others that are Muslim, Catholic, and of other religions is that Protestants have a greater tolerance for challenges to authority and for individual dissent. Protestants, particularly sectarians, believe that individuals are personally responsible for avoiding sin, while other Christian denominations place more emphasis on the inherent weakness of human beings. A third possibility is that a focus on the family rather than individual is many tradition other than Protestantism leads to amoral families and nepotism. A fourth view is that Protestant traditions, in which separation of church and state is more pronounced than in Catholic or Islam, lead to a more vibrant, autonomous civil society that monitors the state more effectively. In this view, the impact of religion is not so much cultural as institutional.
Some theories related to sociological themes are the following. Weber can help us finding a reason for actions of corruption. We say a reason because there are so many reasons for an action. In this case, a corrupt action. We choose the one that is more close to this type of behavior. For Max Weber, sociology is a science that seeks the interpretative understanding of social action for reaching a causal explanation of its directions and effects. Of these social actions, the one that is more interesting is the one that have an orientation relational with individual purpose. Characteristics of corrupt acts. It means that they are action that anticipates the reaction of external objects or other individuals, taking these anticipations as ways for profitable achievement of individual goals.
Durkheim explores corruption installed in public life in political acts of people who have broken the bonds of social solidarity and whose actions that should serve common interests are aimed at satisfying private motivation. In terms of Bourdieu, corrupt practices as ways of working, strategy, and social representation of corruption operate in a practical state as categories of perception, assessment, and classification principles. At the same time as organizing principles of action enable people to move in the social space.
From the point of view of education, how it's possible to explain to the pupils what's corruption, crisis, and the strike? Explain them if the blindness and the deafness of politicos is common, because this is what they are living every day? Shall we make them an easy life at schools and at home, if after of it, when they go outside, see the reality around them? As everything in this life, it's always better to tell the truth to children of what's happening with understandable terms to them and on the proper moment for each age. It is necessary to focus on something that a lot of them don't know and they don't care if they have not lived it. But it is important to them to be conscious about the world around them. It's different to those families that are suffering on their own skin the droughts of the strike, of the poverty, of the hunger, the misfortunes and miseries of the moment. On that case, it's difficult to try to make a child understand that he can do the same as other children do, because there are other priorities at home to be able to survive and hope that tomorrow I will improve. It's hard to say no to a son to basic things as health, education, alimentation, home or clothes, but they will sometimes have to listen to it, and the parents will feel so sad to see how their son so can't understand why always him.
On the bed of bribes or the extortion that suffer, logramos dar.
Bonds of peoples of solidarity.
Individuals are more corrupt than other than...
¿Para verdad?
In terms of Bourdieu, corrupt practice as ways of working, strategy,
programs. And the key element for that is having a Weberian
Some theories relate to the sociological themes are the following. Weber can help up.
In terms of Bourdieu,
Bourdieu!
Profitable achievement of individual goals.
Una mierda.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's all, folks.